You know what to do.
Welcome back to the Fire You Carry podcast. No, we're talking about fitness.
Yeah,
It's
I wanted
hot.
to throw something out there right now, and that's why. That's why I wanted to throw it out there, because it is hot. I would just like to reiterate that the standard of fitness you should be seeking after when the weather changes, when you've got inclement weather, is you need to be doing whatever it is you're doing, in my opinion, outside.
Outside. Sometimes
Because
I
when
hated
you-
you for this.
I know.
It was like, it was just like raining and you're like, oh, we're just going to be soaked. Yeah.
This morning, I would have loved some rain because it was hot. And actually, I didn't work out until after lunchtime. So it was really warm. But especially if you're in the fire service or even the law enforcement world, like, where is your job going to happen? It's going to happen out in the elements. And when it's hot, if you haven't worked on being acclimatized to it, it's going to take a toll on you. You may not fall out and not be able to do your job, but if you've worked on that and gotten used to working out and pushing yourself in the heat, it's going to benefit you. It doesn't mean it's going to get easy, but you will do better. And as demonstrated by the fact that the workout I did this morning, I have done before, and watching my heart rate on the MyZone, I watched it climb from the blue to the green and rapidly into the yellow, where normally this workout would be kind of in the low green. But because of the added heat, it's causing that added tax on the system. And I think you should be training that. So
yeah, I've been doing a lot of sauna, at home and at work, and
is good too. Yeah.
it's pretty interesting to watch. The crew likes to do like an afternoon group circuit type of workout or a run or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And then, but if you crank that sauna up, and so we've been trying to time it where you go right in after the sauna in the evening, and damn, sometimes, you know what I mean? Because it just, that the heat will continue to elevate your heart rate.
Yeah.
And then you can't really it's a struggle bus, but I kind of like the mental fight of it. Also knowing that could be applicable for our job. If you're hot and elevated heart rate and you gotta continue to work, you're just sitting there in the sauna, but sometimes you just got to mentally grind through.
Yeah. But that's so applicable, especially if you're in your turnout gear, or if you're a law enforcement guy and you got your body armor and your kit on, and you've gone running after a criminal or you're fighting a fire, and then now it's time to recover, but it's still hot. You're still in your gear. You need to have practice in doing that so that your body can actually do it. Anybody in the fire service knows recovering in turnout gear after you've done some work is incredibly difficult because it's hot and your body can't breathe. So
Yeah,
yes, I support the sauna, though still I'm not doing it. We are in talks. We are trying to get one here for the station, but it hasn't happened yet. So I'm still not a sauna guy.
Don't everybody tries to go cheap and get the infrared, even though it's not that cheap. But
I'm against the infrared just simply because
infrared.
the way our buddy Evan Hallquist described it, it sounded to me like it was a microwave. I don't want to be cooked from the inside out. That sounds bad.
I'm
not a hot pocket.
Well, it doesn't even get that hot. So you want the heat, you actually
yeah. But it's gonna, if we do it, if it happens, it'll be traditional. What do they call it? A dry sauna, or
the traditional dry sauna, the Finnish dry.
Yeah.
I think you were both and I big fans of that book, The Comfort Crisis. Was that Michael Easter? He's got a series of books.
Yeah.
But I hate to give the synopsis of the book, but he just argues that like modern life is excessively too comfortable and it's harming our physical and our mental health. And that I think he just kind of throws out there with challenge after challenge about discomfort is like the key to our well-being. Like, right.
Yeah.
And it was really, we know these things, right? But I remember when we came to my station, they were doing, which is amazing as a crew after lineup, breathing in the blue chairs in the dark. It's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, it's time to get outside, boys. You know what I mean? And so I made a big push to get them outside, to get outside and get that morning sunlight, because I like combining the protocols of like getting the morning sunlight in your eye,
Yeah.
which Dr. Huberman is huge about setting up your circadian rhythm. And then also, I feel like something about just being outside in general is better than being inside. And then it's
Yeah.
dark. And I don't know, I usually fall asleep or I just feel weird, but when outside, it's almost energizing. So
For sure. For
they
sure.
complain sometimes when it's either too cold or too hot, but I'm like, hey, but that's another way to try to acclimate a little bit.
Yeah, and if you happen to have earth or grass and you can get your feet on that, then you're knocking out three birds with one stone.
Now
You
you're
got the
doing the
breathing,
grounding.
you got the sun, you got contact with the earth, the grounding. I mean, what could be better?
Yeah, we don't. We're surrounded by yours is complete opposite of mine, but mine is just this concrete wasteland.
Right.
So I haven't been able to do
There's
a
no
whole lot of
earth.
grounding. Have
Yeah.
you noticed a difference with that? I the only place that I feel like has a noticeable effect on my mental health, and I think is on the beach,
Oh yeah.
where it's like immediately you can't walk on the beach with shoes or sandals or whatever. And like
Mm-mm.
your feet are in the sand. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming there's grounding there. I'm assuming there's grounding in the water when I'm actually in the water. I think there's something about, the Pacific Ocean is always cold. And every time I get in the water, like it's almost like a refreshing rebirth. There's a lot to that, but I feel like that's the place mentally. I don't know if you
Yeah.
found that.
Yeah, there is definitely more effectiveness or power when you're near a body of water. There's actually studies. I was talking to our friend John Engel, who's doing a hold the line thing coming up in April,
Yeah.
which
Love
we have
those
to talk
guys.
about at the end of the episode. I've got some details on that. But he was talking about how they have done studies where they take people, they do the brain scans, they do the blood draw, look at cortisol levels and stuff, and then they put them near a body of water for 5-10 minutes, just next to it, a river or a lake, the ocean, and stress levels come down, the brain quiets, the
Just
cortisol
looking
levels
at the
drop,
water, not even
just
being in it.
being near the body of water. And then, of
Wow.
course, it's exponentially better if you're in the body of water.
Hmm.
So there is also science behind the grounding and being in connection with the earth, but the body of water seems to be like amplifying. And I mean, you just know that when you go to sleep and there's a river in your backyard, or you're, for us, we don't live by the beach, but you're at a hotel and you got the window open, you can hear the crashing waves. Like, people simulate that on their phones because it works, it relaxes you,
Yeah.
it's calming. So it's definitely a thing.
There is something about that. I've been trying to do a little bit more meditation because we had a stormy February or whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And I've been getting this vision of a river, and I don't know where it is. I don't even think I've been there, but it's just, and you have as the water is moving down, you just have your hand in the water, and it's just kind of
Yeah.
like going over the water. And if you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
hear the
Yeah.
water rushing over the rocks, and I haven't done a whole lot of visualization with meditation. Sometimes I
Yeah.
do
I've
that,
never tried that. Yeah.
because a lot of times if I'm doing it, I'm either just trying to clear my thoughts and not have any thoughts, or I'm either, if my mind is wandering, I'll start reciting prayer, like
Yeah.
the Lord's Prayer in my head, which keeps me a little bit on track and not having to think. But recently I've been trying to just like visualize like somewhere peaceful, somewhere happy. And it's always tends to be around water.
Yeah. It's in your blood.
You're
Let's actually do this right now, since we're talking about water and the benefits of being in water in nature. So, as you guys know, because we did that episode with John Engel, but if you're not aware, John and his wife Emily founded Hold the Line, and what they do is they take first responders out and they take them fly fishing. Kevin, you've been, so I should
It's
actually let you
amazing.
explain more of what they do. But before I let you do that, I just want to say that we have joined forces. We are now one and the same. We're under the same umbrella. So Hold the Line is the Fire Up program, and we're still keeping the name. It's still being run by John and Emily. It's still the same thing, but we're basically one now. We're on the same team. John helps us out at the Fire Up program. We love both John and Emily. But if you want to go on this next trip, it is April 10th through the 12th. It is for first responders. Unlike the Fire Up program, you can go if you are a woman.
A
They
couple.
take men
Yeah.
and women. Couples is great. They do have limited spots. There is no cost for this program. You get to go for free. If you are interested, we have a page on our website. I will link to it in the show notes. But if you go to the fireupprogram.org, you'll see on the top banner there's a Hold the Line. You can click on that, and there's a link to get in touch with John directly, talk to him about specifics, get your questions asked or answered, and then you can get signed up. So just give us a rundown real quick of your experience out there.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so wildly impressed by just John and Emily and their ministry, their passion is combined what was very helpful through him in a very stressful time, and he was getting over a lot of things. And he's naturally like an outdoorsman and a hunter and a fisher and things like that, fisherman. I am not, but when I got up there, it's just such a cool thing. It's up on the Kern. You're actually tent camping right by the water, and John and Emily provide all the food and do all the cooking, which is amazing. But it was really cool on a human connection level. You go to this really professional fly shop up there, which is that area is really known for fly fishing,
Yeah.
and that river specifically. And John has built relationships with these amazing people who do this for a living, and they donate all the gear. We came up with nothing but a tent. We came up with nothing.
Yeah.
And you go into this shop and they give you all the gear. And so the waders, the boots, the fly, I mean, all the stuff. And it would be one thing for you to like get that stuff, but I still don't know what I would be doing with it. Right. And so they help you gear it all up, rig it all up, and see what's going on. And so I was wildly impressed with the people and they were just great people. They're not first responders; they're professional fishermen,
Yeah.
and they tag along with you and kind of get you started and get you an idea of what to do. And then you're literally standing in a river, and it's immediately effective, like immediately, because I'm off that stupid phone. There's no computer, there's no email. I don't have like headphones in, and you talk about this a lot. Like we're surrounded by noise. And like to not have any noise and just the actual the noise of nature where this water is running. And I don't know if you ever fly fish, Noel, but it's very it's different than boat fishing or whatever, where you throw the fly upriver and let it float down and try to have it get into these little pockets where these fish are, they're like rainbow trouts and whatnot, and they take it up. And when you're done, you scoop it up, throw it up, let it float down. And so it's insanely meditative because you're watching this thing float back and forth over and over and over again. And you're just kind of there. And I lost track of time. I was trying to, you know what I mean? It was really fun to try to learn a new skill and learn a new thing. And then more than anything, it's just the people. And he's surrounded himself. John and Emily are amazing. And the people that he's surrounded himself with that help you go, the guides that take you out are really incredible. And that's what I was really blown away at, that they would be willing to donate their gear, their time, their effort for you. And my wife was able to come with me, and it was just really fun. And after like an hour or two, she's like, I just want to sit in the river. And she did. And so, and that was her happy place, So, but it was a great connection point for us. And then it was great connecting with a bunch of people from all over the place. And then sharing around the campfire at night is always super powerful. So I mean, I highly suggest, and I'm definitely going to go back when I can.
Yeah. I cannot definitively say that we're going to be there, but Heather and I are trying to make this trip. We got some other things
awesome.
going on. We actually have a lot going on the next couple of months, but we are trying to make it. So as soon as I know for sure, I'll let you guys know. But regardless of whether or not we're there, you should go. So go to our website, fireprogram.org, click on Hold the Line on the top. It'll show you how to get in touch with John and go from there.
And to go for free is just amazing. I think it's so, what that takes is just incredible. So, I mean, you can't not do it. Yeah. And I'm really excited for some of our guys, especially our guys that have married. We make a big focus on the Fire Up program on the marriage. And I think it would be a really neat thing for them to do that together. So, hey, if there's any program guys out there, go.
Yeah. You'll love it. Good stuff.
We had Jason Lloyd, who is a program guy, had his 40th birthday last night. And I don't know if you remember the viral video of sexy sax man Sergio Flores.
Oh, I do.
Who doesn't? Where he plays that famous hook from the George Michael song.
Yeah, in the middle of the ball or something.
Somehow I reached out, and he still provides saxograms. And I got the Sergio Flores to play a saxogram at Jason's party. And it was everything you'd ever want it to be.
No way.
It was fantastic. And it was so funny. He had a random group of like friends from back in the day, some work friends, people from church and whatnot. And they thought it was an impersonator impersonating Sergio Flores, sexy sax man.
It's the guy.
I'm like, no, that's him.
The real guy.
And it was really funny. There was this lady that came up to me. And she's like, that's the most famous person I've ever seen in real life. That was incredible. That was incredible.
I'm really sad that I wasn't involved in that. That's amazing.
It was really fun. And Jason, who is I was thinking about this. I like dynamic, complicated people.
Hmm.
He's a brown belt in jujitsu
Yeah.
firefighter, a
Right.
total badass,
Yeah.
but also a raving nerd and loves like Lord of the Rings and all
Of
things
course. Yeah.
Dungeons and
Yeah.
Dragons or whatever, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And so our real good friend Mark Gillen decided that Nessa, myself, and I were going to show up to his party as the Lord of the Rings guys. So it was
Oh God.
Gandalf, the one of the elves, and then another guy, you know, and it was so funny. And there's a video of it, of his reaction when we showed up, and we were said, "Thou not, you know, eat more tonkas," or if we said something stupid, and it was absolutely classic because he was like, "Yes," and he was just floored by the costumes that we showed up in, and then he immediately ran upstairs, Noel, and
Oh,
had just randomly had a Hobbit outfit by
of
himself. Of
course.
course he
Of
did,
course. So he
and he
joined
got
in the
dressed in his
fun.
Hobbit outfit and wore that the rest of the day, which was just hilarious. But it
Oh,
made
geez.
me think like costume parties are fun. Like getting
Yeah.
dressed up for something. I don't often like to like get in a suit or something, but I was
Right.
like, it's kind of fun to create, I don't know, a cowboy theme or something. And I'm like, the next party or some get together, I don't care what it is. I'm gonna put a costume theme to it because it was stupid fun.
That is fun. I love that. I'm gonna have to see some photos or video of that. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I'll send it to you. It was pretty great.
That's funny.
But my segue to this, the longest segue, this is a Trump segue. It was that the vibe that we came in,
Doing the weave.
the weave was strong because the vibe that we came in with, it changed the vibe of the party for sure when
Oh
we
yeah.
came in these things. And then he ran upstairs. It was contagious.
Yes. Yes.
And then before you knew it, when Sexy Sax Man Pat came in, and then it was just like, it was super fun. And we were just in the
Suddenly that
backyard of my
becomes
buddy's
fun.
house with his kids. But we had a quick talk about you or me or yourself being contagious, and I wanted to see if you would touch base on that because I thought it was an interesting concept.
Yeah, actually, this came up into my mind, and I wrote it down in my podcast ideas list because of a couple of reasons. But I'll start with the most recent one. I was having a conversation with our two oldest kids, and we were talking about a lot of different things. But something that came up was I just had this need. Trying to say this in a way that doesn't get me in trouble, but just the idea that for them, 1921, the way that they behave around Indy 10, right, who looks up
Mm,
to them, it just they're everything to him. And so the way that they choose to behave or respond to things is how he's going to behave and respond to things.
totally.
Because to him, they're just these amazing adults. They're his brother and sister. You know, he's in the unfortunate realm of having essentially four parents in the house. He's constantly getting told what to do and what not to do, but just relaying to them to remember that however they respond, whether it's to their mom asking them to do a chore or to something negative or positive that happens in life, he is watching that and taking that in, and he's going to emulate it right there in the moment, and then he's going to carry that on forward in his life. That's going to be part of defining who he is as a person, as a man, as he grows up. And that responsibility, I want to be clear, it obviously doesn't just fall on them as the older siblings. It falls on me. It falls on Heather as well, and more so, obviously, because we're mom and dad. But yeah, just that idea that it's really important to remember that there are always people around you watching you, just like at that party, who are affected by what you do, and that can be a really positive thing. Like in the context of that party, if I'm at a party, I need you to be there because I can't fire up the party like that. That's not in my DNA. So I need you there to do that for me, right? And so recognizing that, and there's work context too, but I'll leave it there for now.
No, but I think that's probably one of the most important lessons I learned early on with the kids, especially when they were younger, is that your vibe is their vibe very
Mm,
soon. And if I notice that the wife is stressed, the kids are stressed.
yeah.
If I notice that I put on tunes and start being goofy and start dancing around, they immediately stop whatever they're doing and start being goofy and start dancing around. And I think that's just an innate natural thing. Like they're going to emulate and be whatever you is. But man, I have to be very conscious of that. I have to kind of take stock of my mood before I walk in that door and either turn my hat around backwards and say, this is, I have a small window. Now, your kids are homeschooled and mine are different, but I look at it as like, I have this small, like, hour and a half, 2 hour window in the morning, and I have this small 4 to 6 hour window in the afternoon when they come home from school and they go to bed. I better maximize that and give them something that they could that's contagiously positive, right? And dude, I fail at this all the time because there's some days I come home and I'm just tired, right? And I'm just kind of grumpy, and I can't really shake that, you know. But I do try to make it a point to be like, okay, if I'm going to be the person that to emulate, right? I'm conscious of that. Like I want to make it positive, and it doesn't have to be Disneyland every day, but I'm just definitely making sure that. And as they get older, man, they'll call me out if I'm on my phone too much, or if I'm, you know what I mean, or if I'm not.
Yeah.
If it, if they say, hey, you want to go kick the ball outside, and they say no, like there's something wrong.
Yeah. 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 And it's not just with the kids, right? It happens at work too. And you don't necessarily have to be the captain or the straw boss, the engineer, in order to affect the crew and their mood and how they're handling stuff. You can do it from the fireman ranks too. And, we've all been on scene when somebody's tired or they're burned out and they're treating one of our patients, maybe a regular, somebody that we see all the time, in a way that doesn't meet the standard, right? It's less than the standard. It's either rude or just, whatever. It's not the normal standard of patient care that we give. And that can also be a contagious thing. And it's easy to fall into that, especially, I think, especially if you've been on for a little while and maybe you're just not thinking about it, right? If it becomes the norm, especially if you're on a crew where you're just kind of grumpy all the time, which is the thing, right? Guys are busy, they get tired, they do too many calls, too much stuff off duty, that type of thing. But that can also be a realm where you're contagious, right? The way that you're handling it can bleed out into the rest of the crew. And of course, then the flip side of that is also true, right? When you come in and that's happening, if you do the opposite and treat that person the way that you should, treat them like they were your own mom, grandma, whatever, then that can also influence what the crew does.
Yep. And here's the thing, I'm just gonna say it. You got to put on music in the morning at the fire station. Like I've gone in those stations and nobody has anything going on in the morning, and just like, oh, did somebody die? Like, what's going on? It's like,
Out.
and I noticed, like, I think this is the fireman's job. Like, maybe if you're not going to do this on probation, but I think this is the fireman's job, is to set the tone. We have to do all the equipment check out and fire up all the saws and do all the things. Well, it's as much for me as I come in. I had a long drive. I waked up a little too early, and it's 7 o'clock. I'm putting on some pop punk, or we're getting it started, right? And watch what happens. It's just as much for me. That puts me in a better mood. I start walking around with purpose, and then you'll hear guys like the needle on my reg. They start singing along,
Yeah,
and then everyone's in a better mood. We almost immediately. And for me, music changes the vibe immediately.
for
And
sure.
I think if you're at a fire station, even if it's a 3-man house, whatever, put some tunes on for yourself. There's this funny story. I remember Nole
Yes.
is great on putting on like Christmas time music, Christmas, whatever. And for whatever reason, you had oldies on, and it was like the 50s oldies.
Yeah.
And we were working with the tough guy, a certified tough guy captain who's not going to
Yes.
dance. And Noel starts putting on the song. The twist comes on. Come
Twist.
on, baby, let's do the twist. Come on, baby. And so Noel starts twisting, which is pretty funny because how often do you see an Army Ranger doing the twist? And then I start doing the twist. And then our engineer, Michael Kenobi, starts doing the twist. And the captain, who's super tough, comes over, and we all start encouraging him, like, no, you can't talk to us. He started talking to us about something serious. And we're like, no, we're doing the twist right now. You got to do the twist. And somehow we conned him into doing the twist, and he was still talking about fire things while doing the twist. And we died. I like fell on the floor laughing. It was so funny. One of the best
moments ever. It was so good. The music you choose is very important. A station that shall remain unnamed that I used to work at on overtimes quite frequently. Every time you went into that station, they would have music on, right? So they got that box checked. The problem was that it was the most horrible rap you can imagine. And that takes the mood into a different place that I think is negative and bad. When I first got hired, during my first 6 months on the job, I was working at 30s in Cerritos, and the engineer on my shift, Kevin Fry, he's now retired, but he would play music. He was the music guy, and he was adamant. It was like it was his thing. Nobody else could do it,
He's the
and
guy.
I loved it because he would put on like the Dropkick Murphys or Flogging Molly. He was big into that type of music. The Real McKenzies, that type of, I don't know what you would call that,
Yeah, yeah.
but you know what I'm talking about. It's great. It sets a really good tone for the day. And I remember thinking, I can't wait until I'm at a station and I've been around long enough that I can be the music guy. So I love that point. I think that's a
Mm.
great point. And I currently work at a station where my engineer, he puts on music and he makes different choices than I would make, but they're good.
Mm.
It's like good music. It's positive. It sets a nice tone for the day, and that's his role. When he's not working and I got an overtimer, then I take over and I play music. But yeah, dude, that's a great point. Not something I'd really thought through, but solid.
And dude, it's part of my life though. People know that I have like a little Bluetooth speaker with me at all times.
Yeah, yeah,
Like they just know that, right?
yeah.
And so like wherever we'll be at, like I'll just, throw on some music. Now I'm a music guy. I like music, but it doesn't matter. And I don't play, pop punk all the time. It's whatever it is. If we're going to Christian music, or if it's whatever, if my daughters want to listen to some Taylor Swift, whatever, I'll put it on, you know what I mean? But I think it's fun. And it's one of those things that people know now. Like, hey, you got your thing on you? And I'm like, yeah, let's
You
go.
gonna play some music for us?
Of course I got it on me. You know what I mean? So,
Love it.
but you know, there's those times that we were talking about faking it till you make it.
Yeah.
That like, yeah, I mean, sometimes I need that. I need somebody.
Hmm.
I need somebody else, right? And so it's weird when you're not the guy, or you're normally the guy that's always the one trying to be happy when you're not the guy. It's like that's where I think just having good friends that know you, they'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't really want to talk about it right now,
Yeah.
but
Where's the
whatever." But
tunes this morning? What are you
yeah,
doing?
let's figure it out, and then they'll put on something, and then we'll go from there. But like, but yeah, I think, but you can also be that guy, and like you'll notice if somebody is not right, and I think that's why it's fun to play like team sports or put on
Hmm.
music. Is that when you see somebody that's not really into it, they normally are. Maybe that's somewhere to touch base with them later in the day. I'll just put it in my pocket, be like, hey, try to grab him on the side and see what's up.
Yeah. 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 And of course, the other realm in our line of work where you can have a huge influence on the way other people are responding is on an actual like life or death emergency, whether it's a fire or a full arrest. If you act and are, although sometimes it is an act, calm, cool, collected, like a professional, that spreads. It's contagious, and it's probably, I think, more contagious if you're spun out. And we've all seen those scenes where somebody's stressed, somebody's elevated, they maybe sprinted to the rig, their voice is a little bit too loud for the scene, whatever, and they're moving faster than their level of skills really would allow, and it just everything starts to deteriorate, and that's really contagious. And you can watch scenes kind of spin out of control when people are doing that. So that would be a really important time as a fireman or even in law enforcement or the military, where keeping that cool head, taking a moment to pause, being in control of yourself, even if everything around you is falling apart and you don't know what to do. That's one of those places where I really strongly believe in that fake it till you make it thing, right?
Yeah,
Because the perception of the people that are involved on the other side, the people that called 911 who are having the emergency, that's really important. How you present what you're doing, and the reality is that we will figure it out, right? Even if in the moment you don't know what to do, we will figure it out because no one is coming. It's up to us.
it's
But
up to us. And you know where that contagiousness goes in is like just I'm surrounded by professionals in
mm,
my station, the guys that really like take their job seriously, but they don't have to be serious all the time. And they train, right? And so they all have the attitude of like we never know enough and we always have to train, and it's just part of our day.
yeah,
And I remember at another station that you and I were both at, sometimes it was a chore. It seemed like a chore because we're like, oh, we have to do the same thing over. We have to lead it. It's the same thing for the
right.
same thing, whatever. And these guys, I'm like, oh, I don't know that. Oh, I don't. Yes, let's go over that. Oh, I haven't done that in a while. And that is contagious because I'm like, oh, I'm not who I've been on a while, but I don't know anything. I don't know as much as this guy. This guy knows way more than I do. Let's go over it. And it's cool. That's contagious. The feeling of like not being so comfortable and you're just, I don't know what that word is. You're just content or whatever. But I think it's fun when you surround yourself with good people who are better than you, that want to learn and want to teach. That makes me want to do the same. And I'm like, I'm looking forward to it. I know, like, hey, what are we doing today?
Yeah, and that kind of environment creates a space where that type of learning is not only expected, but it's acceptable. It's acceptable to go, I I don't know how to do that, or I haven't done that in years. Can you run me through that? And to be able to admit, like, yeah, I don't know that. Because the reality is, on any given day, there's a ton of stuff about this job that everyone in the station doesn't know,
Mm-hmm.
myself included more than most. And so having an environment like that where you're not just checking the box and kind of doing the monthly training that we do every month at this time of the year, but those things are good and important, but there's so much more to be done that, yeah, environments like that are, well, they're really the best.
Yeah. So it's a good reminder, both at work and at home specifically with children. Like I got to be conscious that they are aware, they are watching and emulating you on a daily basis, right? And I think at work you can affect positive change. You can put on music, have a good attitude, do some training, and I think that's contagious. And I think those are all good things.
Yeah. I heard something once a long, long time ago, and I think this is just one of those truisms, but I'm sure someone at some point actually said it, but can't quote them directly because I don't know what it is. But just this idea that if you see something in someone else that really bothers you, it's probably something that you do and you're not
Yeah,
aware of it.
it's
It's probably a
100%.
flaw that you have.
This guy
And since
annoys the
I've
hell
learned
out of
that,
me.
yeah, exactly. And since I've learned that, and then especially, really, especially here on this job, because we live with guys for 24 plus hours at a time, you will find guys that annoy you in some way. And every time I stop and go, wait a minute, is this bothering me because this is something that I do? And then it's not always the case, but when it is the case, that can give you that moment of clarity of like, okay, well, then why is it bothering me? Do I need to correct it? What's going on here? Takes the focus off this guy's messed up to, hold on, Noel's messed up. What does Noel
Mm-hmm.
need to do different? Which I kind of hate, but I also love, because what are we trying to do? We're trying to better ourselves on a daily basis.
But good luck on the marital side because my wife will be like, "You're breathing too loud," and I'm like, "What?" And she's like irritated, and I'm just sitting there.
That's a different category
That's a
entirely.
different. She's like, I don't know what that about. It's just the whole thing.
Oh, dude, I love it. I
I'll
love
just
it.
tell you this. She doesn't listen to the podcast. Could I say this? I found myself being very irritated because, okay, I don't know if you guys have a wife, but my wife is the trapper keeper. She's got the big purse. So when we
Oh
go
yeah,
places,
yeah,
I'm like, I dump off, I got the wallet, the chapstick, the
yeah,
phone, possibly a Zin can,
yeah, yeah, yeah. The
she
essentials.
takes the can. So whenever we're coming back, you lock your car and you walk back. Never in 20 something years has she ever anticipated that we would have to unlock the door. And it's always a surprise, dude. It's always a surprise that when we get to the door, it's locked. And then
Oh.
I'm like, and it drives me bananas. It
Mm.
drives me bananas.
Well, and a
But it's
woman's a woman's purse is a mystery. It's like that bag from Mary Poppins where you can just
correct.
like keep pulling stuff out, and
It's
you're like,
just
how
a
did you fit that
magician's
in there?
bag. Yeah.
And you gotta, I mean, there's a lot of rooting around that has to happen before you can locate anything. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. That's a mission, and that's not a realm that I'll delve into. I'm not going in there, so I'm gonna
No,
wait.
no. And she's
Not
just like,
patiently. I'm
you
not gonna
put the
say I'm
keys in
patient.
here. You put your keys in here. Why don't you? And I'm like, yeah. And
Right.
then
I'm not going in there.
but we had like a 400-yard walk to the car. Like at some point, I'd be like, I'm going to get my keys out and press the button.
Uh,
Bless their hearts. It's not in
yeah.
her.
No, they're not designed that way, which is why they need us. That's why
No,
God created us to
we're prepared to unlock
we
the
have to
door.
help them. They need help.
Dude, so I feel like we're coming out of this fog. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
it's still a grind. Like, even trying to record has been a tough thing. I mean, it seems
Yeah.
like I haven't caught up with anything. I got piles and there's papers and there's all kinds of things that I haven't addressed because we got out in whatever it was in late January and it seemed like we got ambushed, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
boom, life is we talk about this at the program. We're kind of in this Shangri-La. We're like away from work, away from, and we have these rad experiences with unbelievable dudes and it's very euphoric. And then you get come down and just the world hits it. And I expect that, but this one was different where it was just like 4 or 5 major things going on at once. And it was overwhelming. And it was just seemed like the world or whatever, you're just getting ambushed. And I don't think I was necessarily prepared. And I know you talk about this about having like SOPs and being prepared in life. And I want to see if you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, this is actually something that I used to talk about at the program, but I removed for the sake of time. But as you were talking about that, it's just reminded me, and I did just look it up. I do have this verse memorized, but like every other verse I've memorized, I don't ever know the reference.
No, never.
John 16:33 says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. And this is the part right here. In this world, you will have trouble or tribulation,
You
but take
will.
heart. Take heart. I have overcome the world. So the last half of that verse is very encouraging, but the previous, yeah, you just nailed it, right? You will have trouble. And yeah, you just came out of a really rough season. I did too, in a different way. And so that the idea, the principle that you're talking about, that I used to talk about at the program, is just this idea that, and we'll talk about it in a military context, right? You just use the word ambush. You're going to get ambushed. Something is going to happen today, tomorrow, next week, and it's going to be difficult. It's going to be something hard to deal with. It's going to be unexpected. It's going to come out of nowhere. And if you're in an ambush in the real world, if you're in the military, one of the first things they teach you is that you have to have a plan for how you're going to deal with getting ambushed, right? You can't figure that out at that moment while the guys on the hillside are shooting down at you and you're in a bad position. That's not the time to figure it out, right? By that point, it's too late. So you have to have a plan going in. And we've talked about this before, where when we find ourselves in the doldrums of life where things are just kind of not going great, if you start looking at your priorities, you're probably not in the word. You're probably not sleeping right. You're probably not working out. Maybe you're not doing your breathing, like whatever. There's things that you're starting to miss. So for me, that would be like part of the plan of coming out of that. And I just did a month in February of being sick and just brain fog and just not doing great. And guess what I didn't do?
Any of the
I didn't
things.
execute the plan. I went into it and I just I just got stuck and I didn't execute the plan. I stayed, in what we call, the fatal funnel, and I just stayed there. And guess what happened? I continued to struggle and suffer until I realized, hold on, I have to do something, right? And part of that plan has to be you have to move, right? You
Get
have to
off the
change your
X.
position. Exactly. Because if you're getting ambushed, whether it's by just the vicissitudes of life or something is actually coming after you, they they chose that spot to hit you for a reason, because you're vulnerable there. And so if you stay there and you stay in that spot, what's going to happen? Eventually, whatever it is going to it's going to tear you down. It's going to defeat you.
Yeah, I think our dear friend Jeremy Stolnecker, we've had on multiple times,
Yeah.
CEO of Mighty Oaks, and he's written a number of books, but his whole podcast is March or Die.
Yes.
And it makes me immediately think of his concept, and he uses it. Obviously, he was in the Marine Corps and he led guys, and he has an amazing story of them crossing this bridge, and that exact thing happened. And he realized that they needed to get off the X and they were going to die if they didn't move. And it's a metaphor for his own life, though. It's like, I feel like when we are stagnant and we are stuck, we've got to do something different. And this is one of my favorite questions in life when I have somebody or myself, Nole, where I'm like, if somebody is struggling with something, maybe it's addiction, maybe it's whatever, marital issues, and they tell me about what they've done so far and they keep doing the same thing over again. My question is, like, if what you're doing is not working, like, why not try something else? Right. And if what you're doing is not working, and I've had to ask that to myself, I'm like, is this working? No. Okay, then get off the X. Let's do something different. I don't know what that is, but almost anything is going to be better than what I've done up to this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like so many other things in life. It's in hindsight, when you look back at it, when I look back at this last month or any other time that I've gotten stuck or just beat down by life or whatever, when you look back at it in hindsight, you go, well, yeah, of course I should have been doing this. I should have been doing that. I should have done this. But in the moment, when you're in that space, it can be overwhelming. It can be depressing, depending on what you're dealing with. It can be a lot of different things. And that just goes back to reinforcing you need to have a plan. And you don't know what life is going to throw at you, but you do know that it's going to be trouble, right? It might be a family member passing away. It might be losing your job. It might be a physical injury, anything. You guys know the list. You've been through all of them. So what are you going to do? What's your basic plan? And you're going to have to adjust, right? That you can't have one plan that's going to work for everything, but you should have some basics, some non-negotiables that you fall back on when things start to go bad. And ideally, a lot of those things are things that we should be doing on a daily basis, right? Being in the word, meditating, getting good sleep, those types of things. You should be doing them all the time anyway. But chances are when things start to get bad, you're probably not. So you got to have a plan. Maybe even write a physical list down to remind yourself. I don't have that, but might be a good idea.
No, I mean, this is exactly what happened to me. I think I make it a point to be there for friends when needed. And I had two dear friends that had two significant things go on. Yeah. And I immediately went there. And then I realized that I was doing that and then trying to do normal life and trying to be the dad and trying to be, and all that. And the thing that broke was me. Like I got sick. I was, and like, it's a tough concept to say when to say no. It's easy to say no when somebody says, "Hey, do you guys want to go to Europe in 3 weeks?" I'm like, "No, we can't afford it." Like, right. And you hear like Tim Ferriss and all these different people of like they set up their life of like 99% of the time it's a no, Yeah. But those ones that's non-negotiable. If one of my closest friends is, I'm going to the hospital,
Yeah.
But I have to realize that there's a cost somewhere, and then I have to shuffle things around in my personal life so that I can come back and retreat to the cave. Maybe that means I have to take the next day off instead of rush right back to work,
right,
and get smashed at work because I'm not sleeping again. I'm like, if I'm going to do that and make that sacrifice, well, I have to do something for me on the back end. And I learned that through this because I'm like, yes, I was there. I was glad I was there. I would never change anything about it, but maybe I would ask for a trade or take another days off while I'm not trying to spin all the plates at the same time. Yeah. Eventually they all came down, and then I'm not helpful to anybody. I'm not doing anything.
Right.
And so why not? Why, if I have the time, like, yes, go help a friend, but take the next day off. So you're not, going from 10 o'clock in one place and then waking up before the next and then going, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. It's too much. Right. And it catches up with you no matter how good or dialed or awesome you are. Hey, I'm going to just totally derail this thing right now, but do you have any awareness of Little House on the Prairie? You ever heard of this?
Great show.
Right. It was a show back in the 70s. It's based on a book, right? Michael. That I read the book when I was a kid, and I think we might have watched the show a little bit, but without going too deep into detail, Indy, that's kind of his show that we're watching with him right now, which
cool. Allie liked it too. Yeah.
It's a great show. Sidebar. There's like 10 seasons and they have 50 something episodes per season. We're going to be able to watch this show until he's 18 years old. There's a crazy amount of episodes.
Yeah.
And there's great little life lessons in there. It's actually really good,
and there's nothing but strife, dude.
Every episode is a new strife.
Yeah.
I was laughing because last night I was home and we were watching, and I'm just going to really quickly summarize the storyline, but essentially that episode, I don't remember how many episodes ago it was, but we were talking about just this idea that we do these things at memorials where we share our thoughts about people who are no longer there. Right.
Yes.
And we were talking about trying to figure out a way to do that before these people had passed. And how would you do that? This episode was about that.
Wow.
It was about an elderly lady in her 80s. She's a widow. Her friend, who's also a widow, passes away. So she realizes, I'm close to the end of my life. I haven't seen my family, my kids in years. They won't come to visit me because they're too busy. So she basically fakes her own death so that they will come to her funeral, because in the episode, she talks about how, you can make an excuse for not coming to visit for a birthday or anything else, but nobody misses a funeral, right? Everyone comes to the funeral. So she stages this whole thing. The kids come, her kids, and there's people that are in on it. And there's all this drama. And then in the end, she reveals that she's still alive. And of course it ends happy and no one freaks out. But I laughed because I was like, this is exactly hilarious. What we were just talking about. This is on this show in the 70s, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, it's just back to that.
Have you ever been to an Irish wake?
No.
Oh, they're fantastic. I have some older family members that are all from Ireland, and that side was all Irish. And they had the Irish wake was just hilarious because it was, if you know the Irish, they're orators, poems, storytellers, song, right. And that's what it is. It's like a celebration that he has gone to heaven, and it's like song, dance, poem, stories, like, you name it, and it's amazing. I always thought, like, after we were talking about that, like, I'd like to host my own Irish wake before I die.
That's what his lady
bring
did.
everybody in, and it's
wake.
done.
Yeah,
And it was like it's a celebration, and it's like celebratory, and everyone's in a great mood, and the
Yeah,
Irish.
of course, the Irish.
But
Anyway, I totally
we
derailed
know.
the episode, but I
No, I
thought that
love
was
it. I
funny.
my daughter started watching that too because you can. I don't know what platform it is on streaming, but you
Amazon
can
Prime
Prime. Yeah, she's been
included.
burning through it, and it's been really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, and but we know these verses like here in John 16, and we know like count it all count it all joy, brothers.
Mm.
When troubles of any kind come your way, and consider an opportunity for great joy. Like I I I struggle that I'm not there when it hits.
Yeah.
I don't like, haha, this is a great time for opportunity.
It's
Let's
an
like,
opportunity.
no, I don't react that way, and I'm like,
Yeah.
when does that happen?
I do not know the answer to that. I don't know how to do that. I don't.
Yeah. I think maybe age and wisdom and experience, but I do know that I'm not as fearful as when something like I've watched recently, a family member who is a non-believer get some bad diagnoses, and
Mm.
it's just like, what do I do? Like very freaking out.
Yeah.
And I have said, like, I feel like the challenges, I think we've been through enough of them
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not considering it joyful, but I'm just like, whatever, bring it on. It's the next hurdle. It's
Yeah.
the next thing. Whatever. We got to get dirty. We got to go do something. All right, let's go.
Yeah. I was thinking about that in a different context recently. I was listening to some people talk about just all the stuff that's going on in the world, right? The stuff in Iran or Ukraine and Russia,
Right.
the Epstein list. There's all this stuff, right? Just like always, but there's this stuff, and there was this group of people that was talking about all that, and it was kind of a doom and gloom conversation, right? Which regarding those things, it's understandable, but I had also been listening to a sermon recently, and the guy was talking about just this idea that if you're a believer, you know that the end of the story is the good guys win,
The
right?
good guys win.
It's already done. It's already written. It's going to happen. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in between then and now, right? Now, who knows how much longer we have? Could be thousands of years, could be 2 days. Nobody knows. But in between now and then, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to go wrong, right? From our perspective, that's going to be horrible and awful. But maybe that's partially where counting it all joy comes from. And back to your perspective, where you've seen some things and it's not necessarily the end of the world because we're going to get through this because you've been through stuff. Maybe there's an aspect of that too. And just adjusting your perspective a little bit to know that, yeah, this season of life might be terrible and it may not turn out the way I want. In fact, it's probably not going to turn out the way I would choose, but it's going to be all right. And in the end, as believers, we know that not only is it going to be all right, but it's going to be better than all right. And maybe that can help kind of carry you through.
Yeah. Did you watch that Sean Ryan with the exorcism priest?
I watched the portion that Todd Bradstreet, or no, that wasn't Todd Bradstreet. That was John Ingle sent us that.
Okay.
Right?
I went back and listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, I only listened to
On
the
a
part
couple
that
of
he
drives.
said start here because it
Which
was
was-
like 3 hours long.
It was, and
But I
I
listened
had
to the tail end of it.
I had multiple hour-and-a-half drives that I listened to it on. So, but it was a fascinating thing where he was talking about, like these spiritual battles, and you and I have both felt when there's like a spirit of oppression or we're getting attacked, right? And there's something that's going on here. And he addressed that when he knows, like, and he started saying symptoms of how that looks,
Mm.
But he also was bringing up that he's like, God does, that's part of the realm of his world. Like, he allows this.
Yeah.
He allows this. This is part of, and it's a crazy concept to think because we've always struggled with why do people get cancer or why do this,
Right.
but are you talking about on a spiritual level, why a demon, he would allow a demon in your world or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty wild. But once again, it was just kind of a reminder of like, oh yeah, I'm not in control of anything.
Yeah.
And there's ways that I can guard myself. I can put on the spiritual armor, right? And like I can guard myself. And I feel like for me, I think one of the most important things for me in my life is to know where I'm weak. like I know where there's a crack in the hole of my arm or underneath my armpits is alcohol. And there's another one on this side that's pornography. And there's another one, like I know where I'm spiritually weak.
Yeah,
And that I feel like those are the cracks where the devil or the demon can get in if I'm not spiritually sound, and I feel like I need to tape those up. I need to put more armor on. Like I need to focus on those where I know I'm weak. And I don't know if I think it's important to know where you're weak. What are your weaknesses
for sure.
and how you can shore those up?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, knowing your weaknesses is huge. And just like everything else, to take it back to a fitness example, but that was one of the great things about the early days of CrossFit and it being so random is
Mm,
that on any given day, you would be exposed. You would do the workout of the day and you would realize, I can't do handstand push-ups or I
right.
can't do double unders or whatever. And then there's a weakness. And now it's time to attack that and learn that. And for sure in your real life, obviously it's even more important to know those things and to attack them, to figure out how to deal with them. But that is a fascinating concept. And I did hear him talk about that, but it's fascinating to look at that type of thing and recognize that, you know, X, Y, or Z horrible thing happens in your life, whether that's some form of demonic oppression or whatever else, but to know that God is ultimately in control and that he allowed that to happen and that's part of your story and it's not a surprise to him. It's not outside of his plan. It's not something that he's shocked by or, wouldn't have allowed if he was in control. He is in control.
It
And
is.
so even just knowing that can be both really encouraging and also very sobering because
It is, right?
right when the
It
when
is.
when terrible things happen in your world and you believe that and that can be really tough, but it also can be really freeing, like you said. Like I'm actually not even in control if my heart beats 2 seconds from now. I can't even control that.
No, nothing.
So that in a way is very freeing. So it can also be scary, but it just depends on your perspective.
Yeah, and we've been watching The Chosen at night, which has
Yeah,
been great. And
yeah, that's good.
there's a part where I don't know if it has any biblical accuracy or not, but Simon, who is one of the main characters, and his wife have a miscarriage,
Hmm.
and we struggled with that, right?
Yeah,
But he was literally one of the 12,
right.
and he's seen God, Jesus, do these unbelievable miracles left and right. He's touring the world with him, and he's healing the blind and the sick and the lame. And he had this thing where he's just crying out, where he starts getting pissed off because he goes, he allowed this. He knows this was going on, and yet
Yeah, yeah,
and it's wild to think that like some of the challenges in our life were purposeful. And I think that's a real interesting thing. It's like it's up to us to grow from them, to become resilient, and I think to help others with the experiences that we had. That's my current theory. It could change dramatically. Is that they're purposeful? You're meant to grow from it or learn from it, and then help others with whatever that specific thing was.
yeah, yeah. And that's just it's such a horrible, brutal truth. And if you look at like, if you're going to go and forge a sword or any kind of tool, right, you have to put it into the fire and get it heated up
Mm,
to where it's weak and malleable. And then you bring it out and you pound on it with a hammer on an anvil and then you quench it. So you're not freezing it, but you quench it in the oil and you put it back in the fire. Like there's this process which, if the sword had feeling, would be incredibly awful to go through. And those experiences for us, I think, are exactly like that. And we may not ever know in this life where experiencing those miscarriages in your family, where that changed you and your wife and forged you so that you could do
mm,
something or influence somebody later. You may not ever actually be aware of that, but guaranteed that just like God knows it's happening and he has awareness of it and he's allowing that to happen, he also knows how it's going to affect you and where on down the line that's going to influence somebody else or change the way your trajectory of life or who knows what. But having the faith to trust that process, I mean, that's the difference between so many people that you and I know who have been through trials and tribulations and who are still believing, right, and trying their best to follow Christ. And then the other side of that coin, I know plenty of people, I'm sure you do too, that have experienced something and looked at it and gone, just like in the show The Chosen, like why would he allow this? And then they walked away, right? Those
Mm.
are kind of the two sides of that coin. And I understand both, right? I understand both sides, and I've chosen to go, the first way as you have. But yeah,
Wow, I love that forge and fire. That's exactly what he's doing, is beating us down so
yeah,
that we become the tool of his choice. And I think maybe the way, we become dull, but I way that we sharpen ourselves is by doing this, like being in the word, praying, remaining in prayer, seeking God's will for your life, surrounding yourself with others, maybe taking care of yourself in the temple that he gave you. You know what I mean? I think that's us sharpening the tool that he's made you into.
yeah. I don't know who said it. I could look it up, but it doesn't matter. Somebody smarter than me. They said before God uses a man, he breaks him first.
Break
And
them.
there's examples of that all over the word. And obviously you've seen it in your own life. I've seen it. It's definitely a truth. And it's a terrible truth, right? Nobody wants to be broken. I don't want to go through that stuff,
No,
but
but what we
it's the
do,
way
look
the
at the
world
people
works.
we admire in the world, though.
Mm,
They've all gone through. Look at what the military does. What did you guys do in RIP? They broke you.
right.
On the lame level, the fire department tries to break you and cut and
Yeah.
trim the fat and see who's willing to survive.
Yeah.
And I feel like nothing good in my life has ever been easy. And that's part of the design of God's plan, right? He's going to
Yeah.
break you, right? And break your will until you surrender and wave the white flag and say, I do not control anything. You are it, and I will follow your lead.
Yeah. Amen.
Let's go.
Dude, we've been all over the place on this episode.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been
Wow.
great. It's been great. Well, I love what you say. It's either you're in a storm or you're in a fight. You're coming out of a fight or you're about to get in a fight. And I feel like I'm rejoicing a little bit that I feel a little bit better. The storm is past. I'm coming out of it. But this is a good time for me to create a plan or an SOP for an ambush and to say, like, hey, if this will happen again,
Right.
then maybe this time you can count it joyful and say, let's go. Let's get into it. How do we attack this? And what is it going to teach me?
Yeah. Yeah. That I'm in that exact same position. And like so many things, it's right back to, in hindsight, I look at it and go, this is stuff that we've talked about on the podcast. These are things that I've said. And then now rubber meets the road, real world, I don't do them. But repetition, learning, I'm still figuring it out. Let's make a plan.
And, we're talking about contagiousness. And my last point is that we are going to the Sleeping Giant concert very soon.
Oh, yes. Dude.
What is it? There's power in live music, almost like a shared experience that's palpable, right?
Yes.
Like you can, and I've played in music and I feel it when I don't think there's something special about live music and the people in the room. There has to be some sort of communal, mental, physical, spiritual thing going on.
Yeah. I heard a really interesting perspective on that. And the guy that was talking about it he's an old friend of my dad's, and he just loved music, like you, right? Where he's just a music guy, and it's his thing. He's the Captain Donnie Butler of my dad's world. He's just a music guy, knows all about it, loves it. But the thing that he said from a Christian perspective was that God created music. Like that exists because he created it. He built it. It works the way that it does with its notes and its harmonies and all that stuff because he created it that way. It's like math, right? Those type of things. Like God did that. He put that in. Of course, math and music, it's not a good comparison because math is horrible and music is great, but you understand what I'm saying. But I think that's part of it. And this guy actually said that you can find beauty and creativity in non-Christian music because it's using the same building blocks that God created to do this thing. And so even if it's not created to honor him, it still has all those positive elements about it, which is why you can listen to, you gave the example earlier of a Taylor Swift song, and it can lift your spirits. It can like make you want to dance. Like it does these good positive things. So I think you're totally right. And I think when you take that and you combine it with a belief in God and the desire to praise him, you put it in a tiny venue with a bunch of people that want to do the same thing, and it just elevates it to a crazy level. And Sleeping Giant is going to be that. And more.
And dude, so we did the big ass calendar again this year, and one of the things that I saw that was missing from last year, even though it was a phenomenal year, is I didn't go to any shows. I
Oh
didn't,
yeah.
very minimal. And
Yeah.
so this year we have booked, we got Sleeping Giant, we got Forrest Frank,
Oh
I
yes.
got Face to Face.
Oh dude.
I'm going to Newfound Glory Yellow Card show
Whoa.
and Bill Murray.
No, dude.
And all those people have different,
Whoa.
like, yes, these are great shows. And all those, and each one I'm going to with like a different group of different friend,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's the anticipation of who we're going with, and then the family's going to
course.
the Forrest Frank one.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's really fun. And so I'm like, I think I really miss that
Dude,
live
yes.
music and whatever
Yes.
genre. And yeah, it'd be great.
Dude, that's amazing. That's a great lineup. I'm very jealous because right now the only show I have booked is Sleeping Giant. I'm gonna have to up my game. Which night are you going to?
I forget the day that worked. There was one of the days that I was off, and so I have to look at it.
Oh, dude.
Anyways, great times. Put some shows on the books, peeps.
Shows. Love live music.
All right. Till next time, this has been the Fire You Carry podcast.
Kevin,
Great stuff.
what are the dates for the next Fire Up program?
May 15th?
Yes.
16th, 17th? What's very confusing, though, is when we have this and it's like our 16th class, so it says, and then it's May 15th.
Class 16th, class 16 on the 15th. That has been messing me up.
Yes.
I ran into our very own Captain Tobia and his
KT.
wife, Sue. I ran into them at Lake Arrowhead yesterday, and we were talking about it and how exciting it was going to be. We ran into another program guy there at the village in Lake Arrowhead.
What?
And we were talking about the program. He's going to be up there again. We got an amazing group of dudes. As of right now, when we're recording this, which is on the 15th, there are 6 slots left, 6 tickets left. So if you're on the fence, stop being on the fence because we do cap it and it is a hard cap. So please go sign up and we'll see you out there May 15th, 16th.
Let's go.
17th for class 16. Technically 17, but we did a class 0 anyway. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.